All right, welcome back. Let's write some back-end code and see if we can see if this delete feature actually works. So we've got the client side done, and that's great, except for it doesn't go anywhere. So it may have a ton of problems, right? And you don't know because you haven't actually done anything on the back end. So in order to do something on the back end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the insert quote, little path handler combo, and I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to make a delete quote was my path, and I'm going to make a delete quote action. You can copy from above, or you can just start typing. Either is fine. So we want to make a delete quote action. Its superclass is a web app to request handler. We're going to override just the post. It's going to autocomplete self for me there. And what we're going to do is actually similar to some things we did before. So before we checked to see if there was an entity key or not. In the post area, there should always be an entity key, right? So there should always be that entity key field sent. And then ultimately what we're going to do at the end is we're going to redirect to the refer. And so that's going to send it back. And the only thing we need to do in delete is actually quite simple. We just need to actually delete that key. So we call delete right on that key, and that should get rid of this quote. So make sure that that is saved, and then you can go over and visit your page. Make sure you're at localhost 8080. Get rid of that delete quote if that was still on there. And do a refresh to make sure it's got the latest. Now I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to click on this delete pretend iPhone, and then I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that if I click delete quote, it will work. Awesome. It looks like it worked great, so I can blow that guy away, and you can just go through there and start knocking off some of the trash that was in this guy, right? So deletes, you can see, are pretty straightforward, especially on the back end, right? So on the client side, we had to, inside this button, we contain the entity key. We click it, and that entity key is now in the form. This modal is a form, even though it doesn't look like it. It just has a hidden entity key, and then this submits the form. That information goes to your back end, and that's the code we wrote this time, which if somebody comes to delete quote the path, we give them this handler. This handler has a post, and what it does is it takes that entity key that was the URL safe version, makes it into a real genuine key. It calls delete on the key. It's kind of interesting. We didn't even have to get the actual entity from the data store. We just called delete on the key, and that knows how to do the deletion of the object, and then we redirect. So that's pretty slick. So at this point, what you can do is you can go ahead and deploy your web app. So you can just right-click on it. PyDev Google App Engine, upload. It will ask you for your credentials, so your username and password. Note on the username, there's no reason to type the @gmail.com. That's just assumed on there. And at this point, you just wait for this thing to say finished. Great, and so it says finished. So I should be able to go refresh my movie quotes page, and you can see if there's data here or not. So this is the deployed version. The nice thing is that it's actually got data because of when we did it last time. But now you can do things like you can delete things. So I didn't need this from the awesome user. I can edit things. So if like I messed up the title of a movie slightly, I could do an edit on something. So I'll just edit Spaceballs Go just to be a regular go. And I'll edit the quote there. So great, looks like we've got a finished app. Assuming that you're taking this class for credit, there's also an assignment in here to go ahead and submit it. So make sure that you go ahead and submit it. Also, there's an optional extra in here if you would like. Whenever I was running this on my mobile device, I found it annoying that the tray doesn't auto-close. So like if you click edit, it didn't auto-close the tray. And I really wanted that to behave better, right? So it annoyed me. So if you also find that annoying, because by default you have to actually close the tray manually. If you would also like to fix that, here's some code for how you would fix that in the notes. That's all we've got for the lecture together. Next up, we'll turn you loose in the lab. Good luck.